Tonight we're supposed to talk about stress resilience. I put this picture up here because I love I think it'd be really hard to grow out of a rock. And when you go to Yellowstone, you see that a lot. And it's always kind of fascinated me. Life tends to give us some of those really tough things to grow in. And our resilience that comes from that, even though we don't enjoy that experience, it makes us sometimes stronger. Sometimes more stress, like too much, over time can weaken us. When you find yourself kind of snapping at people after work, you go home and they ask you to do that one more thing and you're just like, that's a really good indication, a red flag for you that you need some self-care for you. And as nurses, we give lots and lots to other people. Sometimes we go without. And so it's important to learn how to handle stress, right? Which we're not going to get rid of. Everyone's going to have stress, but this is sometimes how it feels. It's like I'm getting pulled on in every which way. Some stresses we can minimize. Some we have to learn to handle. Some we can get rid of. Like if you're a workaholic, you can make that difference. You cannot always be the one that picks up that shift, even though they love you for it. But if you're suffering, and then you need to have those things in mind and take care of you a little bit. So going to the grocery store at the busiest time of day when all the college students are there, probably you can change that one. You don't have to do that always like that. Those are the kinds of stress I'm talking about that you can change a little bit. You have someone, like maybe you're taking care of your sick parent. That's a little different. You don't really get rid of that stress, but you can learn to deal and do things for you that help you deal with that. So I want to talk about just a little bit of stress at work, which you guys all know about. Yeah, there's some stress at work. Anxiety about job demands. You know, we've had a lot of need and we need more people and lots to do. Maybe you've been asked to do, you stepped in to help and they ask you to do something that you're not really familiar with how to do that. That's very stressful. Maybe you asked for some help and you didn't really get the help, or maybe you've got that really great person there that does help, and that is a good thing to always look for wherever you're working and ask other nurses, like, who's the best teacher here? Out of all the nurses, who's the one that loves to teach? And that's your resource that you hold on to. Maybe you've got a poor work relationship, which can cause huge stress. Or the supervising support is lacking, or maybe it's really good, but balancing your work, family, personal life, those are all challenging things that we all deal with on a day-to-day basis. You know, if you worked for just a little bit and then you had a couple weeks off and then you went back, we'd handle it different. But when it's a continual on us, that gets to us. And this is what happens if we don't attend to our stress, is we can have people quit. That's happened a lot with this COVID. We've had a lot of nurses that are like, yeah, you know what? I'm not sure I'm going to keep doing this because of the stress. And fatigue, we all know when you're tired, we don't make great judgments. And so we turn to things like, I need some way to cope with this. So abuse, substance abuse, we get sick, high blood pressure, it shows up on us, doesn't it? And maybe we get a little depressed, which happens when we're overworked and we don't have that relief valve. You know, when we bag someone and you're doing that PPV, and we've got that built-in pressure that's going to pop off if there's too much pressure, that's what your stress relief is. We all need that pop-off valve. When we get in that state of depression, our brain shuts off this brain-derived neurotropic factor, which helps us feel good. And actually, we can test that in a blood test now. You can see what your level is. So when you go on an antidepressant, that level goes up and you feel a little bit better. That medication or that chemical is so important for our brains to function and be able to think and create and actually grow. When that's shut down, the brain isn't working like it should. It can't be creative and it can't do what it needs to do. And then the stress hormones come on board and dampen that even more. So then you get the effects of depression and the immunity that you can get that sick going on. So I'm going to show you some ways that you can actually, these are not expensive. You all can get some bright light. And it doesn't even need to be, like it could be on a day like that's cloudy. But for 10-15 minutes a day, go sit on your porch or go for a walk. I know after you get done with your shifts, like that's sometimes in the dark. You come and go in the dark. But maybe you get 10 minutes that you can just walk outside and maybe you just eat your lunch at that little table and just get light. You need it to get into your optic nerve. So if you've got sunglasses on, you gotta take them off. My grandma used to tell me, walk every day. And she did. She walked and walked and walked. And took her 2 weeks to die. But she didn't eat or drink for 2 weeks. I thought, I don't know if that's a good thing. But 10 minutes, she walked miles. 10 minutes just for the light therapy. In Europe, they don't just put them on an antidepressant. They give them a light box first. Let's see if we can boost those good chemicals with this light. And then if that doesn't work, we'll move to some antidepressants if we need to. This will also help your circadian rhythm. Don't you find that you guys, when you're working nights, it just trips you up. It's pretty hard to figure out when you sleep and when you don't. You don't sleep very good when you work nights. You come home, you're exhausted, but 3 or 4 hours and you're awake. So this helps with that a little bit. It helps increase the serotonin levels if your circadian rhythm's better, which also helps you with your digestion. So it's pretty connected. We're all pretty connected there. This would be contraindicated if you had bipolar, especially in the mania phase. You wouldn't want to do that. Some of those some eye diseases, I'll say, but most things we can do this with. Okay, and we know about this exercise. Like I said, it's hard to think about exercising after your shift, but could you think about 5 to 10 minutes of walking? Like that you could do, right? Pick the bathroom at the other end of the hospital and walk really briskly so that by the time you get that 10 minutes in, you're huffing and puffing. 10 minutes we can do, and 10 minutes is like drinking a cup of coffee. You'll have an hour's worth of energy that you can get without the coffee. And it's gonna bump your serotonin levels up. It's funny how when we're tired and all that stuff, or maybe you're sad, the last thing you want to do is this. You ever notice that? You should go for a walk when you feel like that, and then you don't want it. I tell that to the pregnant ladies all the time. After you have these babies and you're feeling kind of sad, you should go for a walk. And especially to their husbands. She's not going to want to go, so just put her shoes on and take her. Let's go for a walk. And we've all had that experience where you start to move and you're kind of feeling a little lighter. I can handle things a little bit better. That's hugely important. In fact, there's an interesting, you can train your brain to handle stress better. It's kind of like when they've done the studies with blind people where they taught them Braille. And these people would practice like a couple hours learning the Braille every day. Well, the part of the brain that is responsible for that learning grew because they practiced it, right? This is the same thing. If we practice dealing with stress, the amygdala in your brain is going to get bigger. So we're going to be able to handle stress better. And it truly is a conditioning thing that we can do if we'll just put it in. All right, I'm going to teach you several different relaxation things. Is the temperature good for you guys? Okay. The first one is breathing is hugely important. Always we want to be breathing and holding our breaths. But progressive relaxation is just a way for us to tense a little bit and then release a little deeper than we were before. And this is simple. I'm just going to have you take a big breath in and just hold it for a second. And while you're holding that, I want you to tense up some muscles that I'll tell you. And then I want you to relax them. Okay, so another way to think of this is to breathe in a little bit shorter and breathe out longer with a pause in the middle of tension. Does that make sense to everyone? And you're welcome to stay sitting or lay down, whatever you like. This is like the most relaxed class you've ever had. So wherever is comfortable for you, that's where I want you to be. And if I turn the slide off, Kaylee, is that gonna? Let's see what happens. So I just want everyone just to, whenever it feels right for you to take that big breath, I just want you to take in that big breath. Breathe in through your nose or your mouth, it doesn't matter. And then just pause for just a second. And then let that out a little bit longer. The breath needs to be longer than you breathed in. If you like numbers, you can do into 4, pause, out to 8. And then on the next one, when I tell you to take in the breath, I'm going to have you just tense up from your shoulders, through your face, over your scalp, and down your neck. So when you're ready to breathe, big breath in, tense from shoulders up, and then let that go. Breathe out longer. And on the next breath, when you're ready, we're going to tense from our hips to our shoulders, all your abdomen, lower back, all those muscles. Whenever you're ready, big breath in. Tense those spots, hold it, and then let that out longer. And then we'll do from our hips to our knees. Take in that breath. And tense, and then let that go longer. Last one is from your knees to the tips of your toes. Whenever you're ready, big breath in, and tense, and then let that go. Okay, so simple, doesn't take a lot of money to do that one, right? That breathing, you can do even just the breathing and not the tension, which you could do on the drive home. If you do 4 deep breaths, you'll reset your stress load. Your heart rate will drop, your respiratory rate will drop. You're going to move more from that sympathetic fight or flight to a parasympathetic calming and allow calmer chemicals to be on board than the catecholamines where we constrict and we got to be ready to do whatever. So big breaths are our friends. Okay, this next one, I put this picture in because I just love this little girl. She is just so relaxed. So I'm going to flip this light back on just for just a second. We'll go back and forth with this. Is that going to mess you up, Kayla?
Nope, it should be just fine. Autofocus it, so.
Okay,
Look at it though.
that's a little better. So notice how her jaw is really relaxed. You've watched children sleep and they're just so, I mean, you could play with that jaw and she'd just stay asleep. So when you're giving yourself time to do that, this is what you want to model. Because as adults, we tend to kind of like, okay, I'll relax, right? So I'm giving myself that minute. Oh, phone rang. I got to get that. Like it can't be false time. So turn your phone off. I sent some hypnosis to someone the other day, and it's only 5 minutes long. I said, did you do it? Yeah, until my phone rang. Like, turn your phone off. Well, then I can't. You owe yourself 5 minutes a day. Like, relaxation's a gift to yourself. So don't steal that from you. You do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, 10 whole minutes out of the day. You'll find that makes a huge difference over time and how you cope and the things that you do. So when you're getting ready to sleep, which is a huge part of us, that we know that's how we reset our chemicals, that's where we heal, that's a rejuvenating time. How do we do that when we are struggling with that? Maybe you're having nightmares about work. Maybe you've got all this stuff going on in your brain, like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. How do I shut that down so I can actually sleep? If you've got that busy brain going, it's a good idea an hour before to write those busy thoughts down. I need to change the laundry. I don't like the girl that my son's dating. I wish my son was dating. I don't know, whatever your thoughts are, you write it down and set it to the side, and then you go to bed. And when you wake up with that, oh, I forgot this, then you just write that down. That way, like, you're not going to forget. That's why the brain has a hard time shutting down. It's, I got to remember all this stuff. So, but I wrote it down. Don't turn the light on to write it. Just scribble it on there. You'll be able to remember what it is in the morning. Another way to stop the busy brain is turn the blue lights off. So your computers, your cell phones, your TVs, they inhibit melatonin. So when you're watching TV and in bed, that melatonin is having a hard time rising, which is the thing that says, oh my gosh, I'm getting tired. Turn it off for an hour, at least 30 minutes before you go to bed. Let your brain and those chemicals work for you because they're there for a purpose. That's their job. If you have a hard time sleeping, limit your caffeine after noon. Caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. So you drink a bunch of caffeine at 3 o'clock to stay awake, and we do it. You know, I'm struggling. 3 o'clock, I need some help. That's going to take you 6 hours later, you've only burned through half of that. That caffeine will inhibit your ability to get into a deep sleep, which is where you restore. So people who have depression, if they're on a lot of caffeine, that can be a reason why they're having that depression. In fact, one of the conferences I went to, they talked about this doctor who's a resident, and his wife would make him 2 thermoses of coffee every morning so he could get through those. You know how they have huge, sometimes 24-hour days for those residents. And he was struggling so much with depression, and he went to the psychologist, I don't remember which one, and he asked him, how much are you taking in caffeine? You've got to stop that. And he did. He had tried multiple antidepressants, and it didn't help him. Got off of the caffeine so that the chemicals could do what they needed to do to restore. He was able to not be on medications. Interesting.
When should a night nurse stop taking?
Whenever you're going to sleep, it should be just that. You want to just have the six hours at least before. And then try to not watch things that are estrogen flash. Try to not watch like scary movies right before you go to bed. Especially if you're that personality that revs you up. Like my husband can do it. He goes right to sleep. I'm sitting there thinking about all the different ways I would have done that movie. They should have done this. And I just can't shut it down. Cool your room to 68 degrees. We sleep better when we're a little cooler instead of hotter. And then, because you think about, like, used to be, we get about an hour and a half less sleep than people did about 100 years ago every night. And the teenagers are even worse. So that's where a lot of your coping skills and combating of stress is after you've slept. Because I think probably the worst advice I ever got was never go to bed angry at your husband. Well, that's terrible for me. I am just like, let me sleep, and tomorrow I'll be able to think this through better. So for me, that is not good advice. Just let me sleep. Yeah, then I can deal with it better. Okay, this is that just belly breathing. If any of you are singers, you know what this is when you use the abdomen low to breathe. Because when we get stressed, we tend to be up here and breathing. Watch a baby breathe, and they always abdominal breathe. So we're going to do that. And if you put your hands right here on your belly, right together, and you take that big breath, when you're using your abs, they should pull apart just a little bit as you take that big belly breath. So put your fingertips right together. You ready? Okay, taking a big breath way low. And when you get to the top, breathe a little bit higher and then let it down. And they come back together, and do it again. Big belly breaths. Let's do 2 more. Good, I see fingers going back. Okay, there's your 4 deep breaths, using the belly. And again, activating that parasympathetic. I put a chicken on here. Did you notice the chicken? The chicken is for vageling. So you all know what Kegeling exercises are, right? Well, we're going to pretend like we're the chicken and we're going to lay an egg, but then we're not going to, and we're going to suck it back up in. That's a good way to think of Kegels. Okay? So, when you think about that for a minute, be a chicken, you're getting ready to lay this egg, and engage those muscles. Let that egg come out just a little fart and suck it back up in. You know, suck it in. Okay? What did we do when we did that? I want you to think about your vagus nerve. What did we do? Think about when we suction a baby or we suction someone, we vagal them down, right? What happens when we vagal someone down? You guys know this. What happens to their heartbeat? It slows down. So I can be up here giving this little talk to you guys, and I'm laying eggs, and you don't even know it. I'm laying them halfway and sucking them back up, because then I can vagal down, I can get my heart rate down. So when you get nervous or you feel that heart rate and you need to calm that down, pretend to halfway lay that egg. And nobody knows you're doing that. And you can control that stress a little bit, that heart rate, you can calm it down. So Kegling is your friend, because you can, this is a good one to do for any kind of anxiety. You just got that assignment to go do something that you're not sure how to do. Oh my gosh, I gotta go do this. Just lay an egg on your way, halfway. Big breaths, and you'll have a calming. It's easy to do that, and all of us can do that. Self-hypnosis is one of my favorite ones. I'm going to save this one for last because it's a nice way to end. But it is a good one to use right before you go to bed. Anytime you're stressed out, I use it a lot in my life and in my children's life. And it is so helpful for so many things. So I'll leave it at that, and then I'll come back to that. And then prayer and meditation, which are very similar, whichever way you want to view that. Just being, okay, this is my time that I'm going to just calm, and I'm going to be thinking, or I'm praying, or whatever it is that you do. Listening to what's around you, just being really attentive to you. And it's kind of interesting that calming, that thinking, meditating time actually increases your oxytocin. So when women breastfeed and they have a surge of oxytocin, it's a calming effect. Did you know that? Watch women breastfeed, you'll get when they breastfeed. Yeah, you've done it. You know what I'm talking about. That's your oxytocin. And it eases stress, which is interesting. Have that time, have that meditation time, have that prayer so you feel better, so you have more love in your heart and less stress. I put on Facebook the other day, I would like to put oxytocin in an aerosol and just spray it over the world. We need it right now. Yeah. And then something as simple as just a rocking chair. Our mothers rocked us when we were little. We're all very accustomed to what that means. It's very hypnotic. And put a little pad on that. And it doesn't take long for people to be like, oh yeah, I remember this. So this woman and this man sitting in a chair and they're rocking. Our skin contact is also very important. So I told my husband one day, I learned this new thing, you're going to love it. If we have a bare naked hug for 30 seconds every day, it will increase our oxytocin and we'll have more serotonin. He's like, I'm here for you. I'll help you do that. I would like you to have good hormones, those endorphins. Pick me. So he reminds me often, which is fun. But it's true. That skin touch is very calming. If it's someone that you like, right? Yeah. And hobbies. Do you remember what your hobbies are? I know. That happens to us. So that is something to think about. What do I like to do? And if you still remember, write it down, because there will come a day when you're like, I don't even know what it is I like. Hobbies usually are that thing that we can start doing and we've put a lot of time into, and oh my gosh, I haven't even eaten lunch. I didn't even think about that. I've just been so into this project because I love this. Hobbies make us happy, or they should. So happiness is good medicine. So don't forget your hobbies. I mean, that's a stress relief. It's huge. Maybe it's just that walk and you love to do that. Whatever it is, plan it into your life. On people's deathbed, this was the 3 regrets that they said. I wish I'd lived a life truer to my dreams instead of what others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Isn't that interesting? So those are good goals to think about and put in your life. Those are people who have lived it and we're just ready to check out, and that's what they said. So be true to you. Whatever it is that makes you happy, that's important. Really important. Watch how you talk to yourself. So think about what you say to you. Let's say you did something, you made a mistake. Wasn't a big thing, but people were watching you just like what I just did. I made the mistake. I didn't have I planned that, you guys. It was for this park.
What's stuff got to do with it?
That's what it is.
It's on there.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pull it up after. So you make the mistake. What do you say to yourself? What's going on through your head? Do you laugh at yourself or do you berate yourself? That was so stupid. I can't believe I did that. I'm so embarrassed. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. I will say things to myself now. Like I usually do that so much better because it gives me room to grow. If I tell myself I'm stupid and I do that long enough, then my subconscious hears and remembers that what you say over and over. And then you have this base underneath that you feel stupid, and so inside you really do feel that. So be careful how you talk to yourself. Very important to be kind to yourself. Don't say things that are like you should, you never, you always, those are usually not true statements.
My therapist says stop shooting yourself.
Yep. Perfect. So true. Exactly. So learn to reframe those things. Like you can see the word is broken, but which do you see? Do you see broken or do you see okay? Learn to change your talk to you. It's very powerful. Over time, you can really diminish your stress by what you do. Yes?
So, one of my dance teachers growing up, I don't know why this always stuck with me, but it did. She would get mad at us when we got mad at ourselves.
Uh-huh.
And before we left dance each day, she would make us go to the mirror and and compliment ourselves. And it made me feel so awkward and so weird that she made us do it. And it actually really did make you feel better.
It does.
You know something,
Here's one for you. Go home, get completely naked, and stand in front of the mirror. And don't say one bad thing about yourself. You start at the top and you thank your body for everything it's done for you. And when you get to the stretch marks, be grateful for those because that means you have kids. You can't say one negative thing. It's amazing. It's hard because we're used to picking ourselves apart. Try it. See what happens. Okay, so here's some negative to positive growth. I'm not good at this. Mistakes help me improve. These are ways to reframe. I can't make it any better. I can always just keep trying. I can't do this. I can if I decide to. Huge. I've had those moments in my life. If I decide to, I can. This is too hard. But in time, I can figure this out. If I keep trying, I can do that. Because I'm smart enough to do that. I can learn anything I want if I give it all. I'll never be as smart as them. I could be. Do you see how it just gives you a little room to grow? And water is so important. If your urine is darker than light lemonade, you need to drink more. If you're dehydrated, you're not going to think well. You're not going to make decisions well. You're going to snap at people. All of those things. So if you start feeling a little frustrated, grouchy, drink some water. It's simple, but it's huge for us. And so picture of our brain. We have these two parts of our brain, the amygdala and the anterior cingulate, and they both help us regulate stress. Whichever one you focus on and practice with, you can improve, and so you can regulate better. Or if you constantly fear and go over and over and over, you're gonna grow that part of your brain, and you're gonna have a harder time dealing with stress. So the cingulate is the one that does the reality test. Is that really true? And the amygdala is the one that is just like, it's a huge response to stress, and it doesn't test if it's true or not. The there's a snake and I'm deathly scared of him and I can't go by it. And where the cingulate would say, well, could you walk around it? And you wouldn't. That's the difference. So whichever one you practice is where it's going to be the strongest. Crying is our friend. You can release frustration, anger, disappointment, sadness, all of that stuff about 40% in 1 to 5 minutes, which is the average time of a cry. And if you don't let that crying out, you all know what you feel in your throat. You'll get a lump. And your body needed to let that go. So don't be afraid to cry. When you need to cry, just cry. And you'll feel so much better after. Usually you're pretty tired after you do that. Which, if you're listening, that's your body saying, okay, I need some sleep so I can cope. Right? Or cookie dough, whichever way that works. Sometimes. So just a little recap and then we'll do some hypnosis. 7 things, according to Dr. John Preston, that yield the highest well-being, improving moves. Do an act of kindness every day. Every day review 3 things you're grateful for. You're getting ready for bed. Tell me 3 things that were good about today. It's a good way to do it. I do it with my kids. Continue your work. Keep your goals going, but don't make them so big that you can't accomplish it. That's more depressing. And go on that little walk. Have some time outside. And if you can get it in a routine so you know what happens, that's helpful too. Give some money away. It'll make you feel good. Doesn't have to be a lot. Buy somebody's lunch at McDonald's. Whatever it is. It just makes you feel good. So again, the bright light, exercise, progressive relaxation, sleep, deep breathe, self-hypnosis, meditation, prayer, rocking, hobbies, and crying. And then there's your 7 things that we just talked about. And that is on your little packet, so you've got those. Okay? Okay, so what I want you to do as homework is I want you to pick that first thing that was your most stressful thing. And I want you to, what I've done for you today, I want you to pick one that you can put into your life. Don't make it big. Just do it for 5 minutes every day before you get out of bed or before you go to sleep so that you can make it happen. Incorporate it in. And then watch what happens over a couple weeks. Maybe it's just a week. See what happens. See how you feel. All right, you guys. We got 10 minutes. I got a 15-minute anxiety thing. So we got to have some music in the background, though. Music's lovely. We'll put this on. This will. See if you like this. If it bothers anybody, tell me and we can change it.
There are dental companies lobbying to make this toothbrush illegal in the U.S. This U.S. Army dentist.
Sorry. Okay. Can you handle this? Does it bug anybody? I'll turn it down, but is that okay? Yeah? Okay. Bless you. Okay, we're going to turn lights off. And we'll just make this a little bit shorter. I talked too long. Okay. Are we good, Keely?
I'm figuring it out. You're fine to keep going.
Okay. So, here we go. Let's just take in a couple of those big, deep breaths. And we'll just have a little spa moment here. Just a little time for you. And just remembering that relaxation time is a gift that you give to yourself. So just go ahead and take in those breaths. Engage that abdomen just for a few minutes. Let those be deep breaths. You're welcome to close your eyes or leave them open. Whichever you like. And I'd like you to just imagine a white light that just hangs just a few inches in front of your face. You might actually see this soft white light hanging there, or you may simply just know that it's there. It's just right in front of you. And as you imagine this white light that's just now suspended right in front of you, just a few inches, imagine and envision this white light. and discover how it would feel to see through the white light all the way to its silent core. Imagine looking beyond and through the soft white light to the soothing, calm center. And if your mind wanders to something else, just gently pull it back to the soft light. And as you continue looking into the heart of the white light, to the soothing, calm center, and bring your awareness to this soft white light, and imagine bringing that white light towards you and then through you, bringing it all the way to the center of your mind. Notice as you place it there how it softens every thought, and discover this quiet as you enjoy this sensation of softness from this quiet light. Feel the ripples of relaxation flowing gently down, filling your awareness with this quiet, this calm. And now extend this quiet down to the space around your heart. And notice how it seems as if your breath is moving in and out through your heart space, filling your entire body with this soft energy. And as you imagine this, experience the shift that you feel. Your body is quiet and calm as you breathe into your heart space and send that feeling all the way down to every part of you, filling up each hollow, each texture, feeling each breath. This light filling you all the way down to the tips of your fingers, down the thighs, behind your knee, to your toes. This light quiets and completes, restores every part of your body. This calm, perfect glow rejuvenates every organ, every tissue, every part of your mind, every cell of your body. And now that you're encompassed completely by this soft white light, allow the light to go beyond your body, above your head, below your feet, in front and in back of you. Now being aware of the shift as the light moves out all around you. And then the soft light moves down to the earth and becomes an adjustable cord of light, grounding you and everything around you. Beautifully glowing, peaceful, beautiful, calm. Enjoy this place as you now experience this grounded, quiet balance. As you rest and relax, restore your body and your mind. And you can come back to this quiet place anytime you choose. Go ahead and take in another big, deep breath. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to the room.